Hi everyone, my name is Jess. Welcome to my channel. I do tarot readings on here. Before we get started, I'd like to say, if you feel no one is listening, the universe is. This is a general reading meant for your enlightenment and entertainment. Keep what applies and let the rest fly. Now, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the astrology that's happening right now as I record this video. Just keep in mind that this is a timeless reading. However, what I'm about to say is wisdom that can be applied at any time in your life. So right now the moon is in Libra, and it's about 2 days here where I live in America. It's about 2 days to when Jupiter goes into Pisces. Neptune is already in Pisces. Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, so it's at home there. And with Pisces and Neptune, there tends to be some confusion that happens for lots of people. They're confused about what their goals are. They're confused about what their true wishes and hopes are. It's kind of like everything rolled into one with Pisces. I see Pisces as like it's the end water sign. It's the sign that takes into account like the love dreams, and then, you know, Scorpio is more like the career dreams that somebody has, the kind of like drive, passion dreams that they have. And so Pisces is kind of like what combines the two. And right now people are saying that when Jupiter gets into Pisces, things are going to become destructive. That Pisces tends to be a sign where a lot of destruction happens. It's the sign of the Holy Spirit. It's the sign of any kind of spirit. So people are nervous that once Jupiter gets into Pisces, that the expansion of all the worst things that happen with the sign of Pisces and Neptune is going to become the reality of what's going on in our country right now, where I am in America. And I just want to say this one thing before I get started with the tarot reading, that I feel that it's up to each person to decide how to deal with any disaster. It's up to each person to decide how they're going to react to something that's bad news for them. Anything that's confusing for them. There's no reason to only think of the worst here. Take into account what you currently have that's good. And if you're an American, think of anything that's good, any of the positive things that we have going right now. Not just all the negative stuff. Because if we just keep thinking of the negative stuff, we're going to get stuck there. And, well, all the stuff that we're always afraid is going to happen is going to happen. So really it's up to the individual to take charge of their lives. So that's what I wanted to say about that. I've got this pyramid here that I use in a spell at the end of this reading. I consider it a magic spell, even though I'm not using a pentagram, I'm using a pyramid. I still use a 5-point system that takes in all the 4 elements plus the 5th element of spirit, or ether as some people call it. So the 4 elements being earth, fire, air, and water, and then spirit or ether as people call it. And I take into all those into account, and I send up something beautiful into the universe with you in mind. And you get a chance to put your intention out there before that happens. So if you're not into magic, if you don't believe in magic, you don't have to watch that part. And I do it at the end, so you get to watch the whole reading until then. But I do invite you to stay. It's an intention spell. It's meant to be a positive thing, not anything negative. On this channel, I believe that if there's a negative, a noggin. Okay, if there's a negative, then there's a positive too. Somebody's using their noggin somewhere. I don't know where. That's a funny word, isn't it? Also, we got this here. This is an oracle deck. And I have this on here because this message is not meant for you. So once I shuffle these and put out the first card, you'll see what the message is. Also in my readings, since they're an energy power reading, that's what I call them, there's a stimulating energy and a depleting energy. The stimulating energy is more like light, and the depleting energy is more like shadow. So, you know, the light is kind of positive. However, there can also be some negatives that happen. And the depleting is like the shadow. It's the darkness. But there's also positives that can be gained from that. So I try to always have both sides. And considering that the moon is in Libra, this is the perfect night to have a nice balanced reading. Over here, we have cards. And these are actually playing cards. And I thought, how perfect for the end of the year of 2021 going into 2022. We can have a nice looking playing card. Here, let me hold it that way. Has a rainbow on it, and I think there's a covered bridge and a church. It's kind of nice. I think it's a really pretty card. And I think it sums up, like, I think the intentions that a lot of people have. They want to go to a safe place. They want to go to a place where they can be spiritually happy. And that doesn't mean that you have to actually go outside of your house. You can actually do it at home. And one way is by following tarot readings. Another way is to read spiritual texts. Any text, you know, any kind of text. From today or from yesterday. Alright, let's get started. So I'm going to pull an intention card. Oh, I'm sorry, before I do that, I also want to mention the crystal. This is blue lace agate. This is a good air sign stone. I consider it like a stone for any of the air signs. It's kind of like a stone that's all about balance and clarity. So this is a good reading for like clear intentions. Alright. Now we're going to get started. Okay. Okay. Spirit. What is the collective trying to get clear on right now at this moment? What can the wisdom of the signs and the wild goddess oracle give us here? Okay. Okay, we have number 51, the warrior. Not warrior, a warrior. Okay. This is an unusual card. Trying to see what this person is doing. They're kind of like, they see like a shadow or something in a doorway. They're trying to disrobe. They want to be somebody different. There's somebody I'm reading for who's saying, I want to be somebody different right now. I'm worried that nobody will accept me as I am. Okay. So I need to take this, you can take a picture of it now, and I'm going to, or pause it I should say, and I'm going to read it off camera. Number 51, the warrior. Know that you have the power to defeat negative thinking. Learn to understand and cope with your greatest enemy, your own fear. Oh, that's very relevant, I feel, for what I just talked about. Let's move that out of the way. Yeah, I feel like everybody has it in them to face their fears. Number 51 breaks down to a 6. 6 is the number that relates to Virgo. Virgo is the 6th sign. When I think of numerology, I tend to think of the signs. So, for the wisdom of this card to be influenced by number 6, well, number 6 is all about compassion. Virgo is about compassion and understanding in terms of service. And I think perhaps one way to really appreciate yourself is to be of service to others, to know what you have to offer to others. And of course, be appreciative of the service that people give to you. You know, like if you go, say, to a restaurant, you know, hopefully the waiter or waitress is nice, non-binary server. Hopefully they're nice. And even if they're not, try to at least, you know, deal with them gently. In terms of retailers too, I mean, this holiday season, I'm sure the retailers had a tough time. Luckily where I am, people were pretty good to the baristas and retailers. But I know in some places it was kind of tough. And if you are a retailer, you know, if you are working retail, if you are working in the service industry, thank you for keeping everybody happy. I once worked retail. I worked at a Joann's, and it was tough. There were days though when I really liked it, and I have a feeling that a lot of people in the service industry and retail have like great days and they have tough days, and there isn't really any in between. I don't know why that's coming up, but so if you're afraid to come out, like let's say you're gay or you're bisexual, you're non-binary, and you're like nervous about saying that you're not into sex at all, you know, come out to people who you feel will have your best interest at heart, and you'll have a gut instinct on people. I feel like whoever I'm reading for is really having a tough time accepting their own being. Like, they've been one way for so long, and now they feel differently. They feel differently because they allowed themselves to feel something different. Let's get some clarification on the stimulating energy on facing your fears. Especially facing your fear of being yourself. Oops. Okay. Spirit, please let me know from the Mystic Monday's Oracle what the stimulating energy is for somebody who needs to face their fears on coming out to people about who they are, whoever they are, whatever it is about. Okay. Okay. So, we've got the Queen of Swords here. Now, I know from experience that this card is a certain cusp, but you know what? I'm going to just say that all air signs can be represented by the Queen of Swords. It's Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra. But I'm just going to talk about the wisdom of like the air sign itself, the element of air, and the Queen herself. The element of air is all about thoughts, but all your thoughts, and like when it comes to feelings, like how your thoughts influence your feelings. And the Queen of Swords is shown to be somebody who worries and somebody who's usually very depressed. They could even be jealous of people. They can be possessive. I feel whoever I'm talking to is possessive. Like, they're really holding on to things from the past they don't want to let go of. It's a lot easier said than done to let go of things, I know from experience. So I'm not judging here. I am saying whoever I'm reading for, whoever is trying to get in touch with their own inner being, who wants to be themselves in front of people instead of hiding behind a mask. Well, they're possessive. When they have a friend, they tend to hold that friend real close. And with that friend, if the friend feels that there's been a boundary crossed, well, the person doesn't know how to handle somebody saying, my boundary's been crossed, so you need to back away a little bit. Yeah, I'm scratching my head. My aura feels a little bit like attacked or something. I'm leaning in heavily here. There's something close here. You know, I incense my place before I start now for protection reasons. And I'm just being shown something. Somebody is so foolish that they're like so into themselves and they're not willing to respect people's boundaries. The Queen of Swords tends to be very obnoxious. She's obnoxious. Her thoughts tend to be all about trying to possess something. To possess, like in order to get abundance, to be possessive of everything and hold on to everything real tight. And make everything be a certain way. Queen of Swords energy is not a good energy. That's why I hesitate to talk about the actual cusp, because I know the cusp, I've studied it. Some of the cards I don't know them exactly, but the Queen of Swords is not an easy energy to really take in. So I'm going to put her down. Now we have the High Priestess, which is number 2. And number 2 is Taurus, in my opinion. But High Priestess, I believe, is the moon. Yeah, I think she's the moon. There is a moon card in tarot, but the moon card in tarot is not the moon. I think the moon card in tarot is Pisces. The High Priestess, I believe, is the moon. But number 2 to me is Taurus. And I think of Taurus as being very, like, feminine. Somebody very feminine and yet sensual. And you know what? I'm hearing, like, clairsentience. Somebody is dealing with somebody who's clairsentient. There's this Queen of Swords energy here. That's all about being abusive, almost abusive. And then there's this very gentle, kind person who, it's like a person who just knows things. They know They know what will happen next when it comes to their friends and family. As you can see, she only has one eye here. That's the interesting thing about the Mystic Mondays deck. Most of the cards, all the people have no eyes, but they have things like third eyes, that type of thing. And she's balancing like the known thing with the unknown thing. You know, she has like an actual planet here, and then she has like this abstract energy here. And she balances the two and comes up with an answer. And she tends to know many things. Now, a lot of people say the High Priestess knows everything. She knows all. I don't believe that. High Priestess is a human. And, well, she's almost delicate. You know, people think that she's so tough and powerful, but in order to get into the space of being tough and powerful, she has to be delicate. She has to treat things gently before she can embrace the tough stuff. She kind of has to like give herself like this little pep talk. She has to maybe even give herself a hug. I'm going to say this. I'm going to put this down now because I want to talk a little bit. A little bit. I tend to talk a lot on my readings, so if you're not into like talkative readings, then this may not be the reading for you. But this morning I had this like, I don't know, I was having like these disturbing dreams. And I remembered this little a GIF, a GIF on Twitter of this duck, and like I guess like a pet owner had a pet duck, and they were petting the duck, and the duck's eyes were closing, and it just like was just enjoying, you know, the petting, and it was just so cute. And like then he wanted, or she wanted a little beak touched, and the guy just was like touching his beak. It was so cute. And you know, the duck felt safe and loved and protected. And like I think of that GIF now, and I thought of it this morning, and I was really getting disturbed in my dreams. And I thought of that duck closing its eyes slowly, like over and over as the person petted the duck's head. And I just was like, oh, I've got duck eyes now. I'm closing my eyes a little bit at a time, closing them a little bit at a time. And I felt better. I surrendered to spirit, a spirit team. I have a guide and have ancestors, and then there's like deities too. Sometimes they come in. And even galactic beings too, who once roamed the earth but now are like happy living out in the stars. And it was just amazing. So I don't know who needs to hear that, but you know, if you're really freaking out, if you're having a bad dream, then you need to just think of somebody kind of petting you on the head gently, you know, just like an innocent thing. Like you're that duck, and somebody loves you and just wants you to be happy, and you're just able to close your eyes a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, and then you just kind of drift off. And that's like the best thing to do. I feel like this High Priestess is somebody who has to hold themselves accountable. She has messed up. The Queen of Swords, you know, is in the stimulating energy. And I will say the positive of the Queen of Swords is that she's able to be clear about what she wants. She's clear, but usually like what she's clear about is kind of not right. She's like real manipulative. And of course the Queen of Pentacles sort of can be like with material things, but the Queen of Swords is really tough sometimes. But maybe, you know, what has to happen is like this kind of delicate High Priestess person has to embrace a little bit, just a touch of the Queen of Swords. They need to be clear about what they want and not be worried that like it'll get taken away. Somebody's afraid that something will get taken away. If there's anything to learn from the Queen of Swords, she pretty much gets what she wants. It's unusual for her not to win. And I think, like, no matter what the High Priestess's intentions are, the number one thing that the High Priestess needs to understand is that once she protects herself, once she gives herself the things she needs, and she's able to do that with the help of whatever power she believes in, a higher power or an equal power or whatever, source energy, once she surrenders to that, it's like she can kind of embrace that inner Queen of Swords and be very discerning about what she lets in and what she chooses to let out in terms of answers to people. Somebody is very wise, and like people come to them all the time and they ask them questions, and this person, this High Priestess, feels like she keeps being taken advantage of. So like, I mean, with the stimulating energy, somebody who is wise and needs to be discerning. That's how you can make sure your energy is remaining high. As some people say, high vibrational. So now let's go to the depleting energy. And this, okay, alright. Spirit, what can the Spirit Within deck tell us about the depleting energy of the person that I'm reading for? Okay. So let's put these in here. I'll pick them up again like I did the others. Okay, we have the Three of Swords. So yes, I think somebody's very heartbroken right now. Let me put this down. Okay. They're very heartbroken at being taken advantage of. Somebody feels like somebody's always taking advantage of them. They're being drained energetically. In fact, the thing with Jupiter in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces, well, people are going to feel a lot of pain in their feet and in their lower extremities. They're going to feel like it's hard to stand. This person finds it hard to stand up for what they believe in. That's what I feel is going to happen with Jupiter and Pisces. It's the big fear I think that most of the people have. They're just not naming it right now. This person has a hard time standing up for what they believe in. You see how there's like this peace taken out of them. Like they're fearing that if they stand up for themselves. Oh, I see, it's like band-aids, but to me it looks like a piece taken out. If they stand up for themselves, it's like they'll never get themselves back. They'll never be able to be the person that they were before. Oh wow, no way. We're the Queen of Swords again for the depleting energy. I can't believe this. I'm still not revealing what the cusp is. If you want to look it up, just look it up online. I'm all about the wisdom of the signs, and for the most part, with these court cards, I tend to keep them general. But in terms of like the energy that's most accessed, it's Libra, and since the moon is in Libra, that's very interesting that we have that coming out. But all the air signs can apply to the Queen of Swords. What's funny about the Queen of Swords is people do not attribute fairness to her. And Libra is like a part of the cusp sign. So it's very odd. But she is discerning, however. Now, we have somebody here who's writing something. Somebody perhaps, they're trying to figure out what they want to write. Like, what they want to present to the world. I'm not really getting like a writer energy. I'm getting like somebody who has something on their mind, and they're thinking about it, and they're seeing both sides of it. In this card, the Queen of Swords is somebody who's taking the time to figure out what she needs to get done. She's methodical. She has a method to her madness. Yeah, somebody's being harassed by somebody who's obnoxious. They're just plain obnoxious. I'm also noticing the yellow and the gray here. And also I think it's worth noting, I think the Queen card is the 13th card of the tarot bundle, you know, the suits. 13 adds up to 4. 4 is actually the number of Cancer, but 1 and 3 is Aries and Gemini. So, you know, you have the influence of all those numbers, all those types of signs in the Queen. In my opinion, I don't think things happen by accident. I used to think, oh, it's so silly when the tarot readers pick out the numbers, but you know, there's something about the numbers. There's, you know, they used to say on this show about weight loss, numbers don't lie. And I think like astrology is pretty truthful because it's a science. You know, it can be recorded, and history is recorded, and certain things were shown to happen at certain times. But I'm getting here that, you know, somebody's like had their heart ripped out of them. They came out already to somebody. They came out in some way. Somebody was abusive to them. I don't know how they came out. I don't know what about. Coming out isn't just about sexual stuff. Coming out can be anything. It could be like somebody who had one job and decided to really hate their job, and they have to tell their significant other that they're quitting their job because they have this other thing that they really want to do. Maybe it involves something like traveling, who knows. So they have to go traveling everywhere if they stay together. You know, it could be anything. I hesitate to only make it about sex and love and that kind of thing. Usually coming out, though, does mean like a sexual orientation. It could even be coming out about being in love with somebody else, too. I mean, that's another thing you could have, but I'm not getting that sense. It's somebody who, like, had one thing they were doing, and then they cut themselves off from it to do something else. They cut themselves off. Oh. They harassed themselves. They let somebody's words get to them. There was like somebody in their life who was obnoxious. That's what I keep getting. They're loud, they're obnoxious. They keep telling them, you know, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to straighten up. All this stuff. And this person took it all to heart. And they like ripped their heart out. You know what I just got a visual of? Somebody had like earbuds in their ear and they were listening to music. And it was something they listened to over and over and over again. And then they ripped the earbuds out. And they threw the tape in, or what, tape. I don't know why I said tape. But like tape in the trash. It was like a cassette tape or something. They threw it out in the trash. Tape. I'm getting tape because tape, well, what people used to do with tapes, like cassette tapes, was they used to rewind them and listen to them again. You know, it's not like a CD where you like skip around. It's not like a shuffle iPod thing, you know, where you're just like skipping around songs. I mean, I don't know if you can actually like stop in parts of the song. Now, I don't use a shuffle thing. A shuffle thing? Yeah, I don't use like an iPod or something like that, or whatever they make now. I'm a Gen Xer, but most Gen Xers do use them now, I'm sure. I'm just one of the ones who doesn't. But it's just so funny. I mean, that's the image I got. It's like somebody said, enough. I'm not listening to this tape anymore. I'm not going to like let these thoughts control me anymore. Wow. That's powerful. That's really powerful. Alright. So now that we've got that going, I do want to say something about the gray and yellow, and also more about the numbers too. The gray and yellow, I think of kind of like, I'm actually thinking of like sunshine after a gray day. It's like a mix. It's like there's like a sunny day, but like the gray clouds are coming in. And this person here, this woman, could be working at like daybreak or something. I can't really see it. Sorry about that. You know, she's kind of like working with the sunrise. And this guy is like up at dawn. He couldn't get to sleep. Yeah, Three of Swords, 3 is Gemini. But the Three of Swords in Tarot is, it's Libra. So yeah, I'm probably confusing you. But 3 to me is like a Gemini energy anyways. It's kind of like this happy-go-lucky energy. But it's like somebody was happy-go-lucky, happily going along, and then somebody came along, some thoughts came along, and it got them real bad. I'd say the Libra energy for 3 of Swords is the heartbreak, but it's usually heartbreak upon learning about like an imbalance. Like it's somebody who really likes everything to be symmetrical, and like one thing is worse than the other, and in their head it's almost like, well, because one thing is off, everything is off. It's like this all or nothing thinking. Yeah, as a depleting energy, what you can do with that is you can say enough with the thoughts. You can do that. It's hard to do. If you think of my duck eyes exercise there, where you think of like somebody petting your head and you're like closing your eyes slowly, but not quite all the way. You're just kind of like blinking slowly over and over, and then like finally you just surrender and go quiet. And it's a really beautiful thing. I know people were nervous about that. Yeah, about the queens, about the numbers there. 1 and 3 have Aries and Gemini. Aries is all about like innovation, starting things. Gemini is about kind of like putting those things into motion, but like emotion that's very fast. If you think about this, you know, the easiest way to think about this is like the queen in chess. The queen in chess can go anywhere. I don't think there's really much she can't do. I mean, I think the only thing she can't do is jump, but she can kind of like go all over the place. If you think of her like that, like she's able to do so many things. She's able to go anywhere she needs to go to get what she wants. Any queen has that capability, but they do it in different ways. So that's how I see the queen. in any of the suits. I can't believe we got the Queen of Swords twice. Okay, so now it's time to use these lovely cards. And they're actual playing cards. They're small, but I'll actually be able to shuffle these, unlike the first one I did, where I really couldn't shuffle those. I don't know. I may use them again just for fun, but all the smaller cards I choose to use in these readings now, with the exception of using some larger cards with a different pyramid I made. They'll be like around this size. So they're not as like adorable as those, but they're still nice. They're nice looking. I really like them. I just got them because I don't have that many miniature cards. And what's going to happen is we're going to clarify all of these cards. Takes me a little while to shuffle. I don't do like that bridge shuffling and stuff like that. I don't want to ruin my cards. Okay. Spirit, please help me clarify all of these cards. We'll do it in a row. It's a lot easier that way. Okay, so to clarify the Queen of Swords, we have the Four of Spades, which is the Four of Swords. To clarify the High Priestess, we have the Six of Clubs, which is the Six of Wands. To clarify our intention card, we have the Jack of Clubs, which is the Knight of Wands. To clarify the Three of Swords, we have the Ten of Clubs, which is the Ten of Wands. And to clarify the Queen of Swords over here, we have the Nine of Clubs, which is the Nine of Wands. Oh, all black cards. Interesting. Okay. So I'm going to put these cards over here. Alright. So, let's start with the intention card first. I usually leave it to the end, but I've decided I'm going to... I've recorded a few that I don't know if I'm going to share them yet, but usually I leave it to the end. I've decided I'm going to do it at the beginning. I think it's easier that way, and I won't forget it. So we have the Knight of Wands, representing, it's clarifying this worrying energy, being worried about coming out to somebody, telling them something that you've maybe held secret, something about yourself that you thought you'd never tell anybody, and it turns out that there's a reason why you have to say something. You just can't keep it in anymore. Knight of Wands tends to be a very impulsive energy. The Knight is the number 12 in the deck. That's Aries and Taurus energy. Taurus is the feminine sign, but they also have a stubborn streak. Knights tend to be stubborn. And Aries, you know, they tend to be kind of impulsive. So they're impulsive and stubborn. Each Knight is impulsive and stubborn in their own way. Like, I'm just going to mention the Knight of Pentacles. Well, I mean, he's not really impulsive. He tends to be more calculating about how he's going to get somewhere. But the fact that, like, he spends all his time figuring it out, like, that's his vice. The Knights tend to have, like, a vice. They all do. None of them is perfect. You know, there's certain placements that are a little bit more perfect. So, yeah, we've got... This is somebody who's dying to tell somebody something. They're just dying to tell somebody something about themselves. Whoever you are. Yes, I'm reading for lots of people. Maybe there's lots of people who feel the same way. But I do feel like when I read these, it's like I'm reading for like a specific person. I don't mean like I have a person in mind. I mean like as if you are the only one I'm reading for, whoever's viewing. Okay, so now let's start with the stimulating energy next. Okay, so we have this Four of Swords. Four of Swords energy is like the calm down energy. It's the energy of relaxation and rest. It's calming down this obnoxious streak. I'm beginning to think that this impulsivity, that somebody, they just want to get it out of their system. That this feeling they have about something, about themselves, they want to be loud and proud about it. And there's something in them that's nervous about it. There's nothing wrong with being bold and dynamic even about who you feel you are. However, there's ways to present yourself where you can be clear. You can be bright and bold and loud and clear. And, you know, if you're like bright, bold, and loud and obnoxious, well, yes, it looks clear, but it's like, oh, she or he is clearly, or non-binary, is clearly crazy. They're so zealous. They're so into what they're talking about, and they don't care about anybody else but themselves. They don't care about us. They don't care about how we feel about it. And, you know, I'd be the first to tell you, really, don't do things based on what other people think. But I also will tell you, as somebody who's had psychosis before, that being obnoxious and not making any sense, well, it comes off as belligerent and can be something like scary to people. And I feel like this obnoxiousness borders on being scary. So I don't know, you know, what the story is here. Maybe there's like two energies. Like if somebody is dealing with a person who's obnoxious, or like the person has this issue, whatever they're hiding. It's so painful that they feel they're gonna bust at the seams. So now we've got the Six of Wands here. Well, if you want to be public now, the Six of Wands is all about publicity. The Six of Wands is a Leo card. This Four of Swords is a Libra card. And Libra at the end of its cycle is kind of like resting. It's all about resting and balancing. But the Six of... oh yeah, and 4 is Cancer too. Cancerian energy to me. But, you know, it's sort of like the resting stage. You know, being at home, kind of resting in place. 6 energy is Virgo. I'm thinking, you know, Virgo tends to be about service. I know it's confusing. I kind of like go back and forth. But a 6 in tarot, and I just don't think that things happen by accident. So I see, like, the people in, like, the original Rider-Waite-Smith deck, that's like the one I learned from. They're like supporting somebody. They're giving them a whole bunch of good vibes, you know, a lot of publicity. The person is like a hero to them. And you know, Virgos tend to be like those quiet heroes. They're like the unsung heroes. I feel like whoever this is, whoever you are, perhaps, you're like an unsung hero. Or you feel like you're an unsung hero. Maybe you're even a singer. Taurus is, you know, the sign of singing. And I mentioned Taurus because of this 2 here. Yeah. Well, don't sing in a public place where people don't want to hear you. Sometimes you even have to have a permit to be singing outside. And if you're going to sing outside somewhere, make sure you got a permit first. Especially if you're playing an instrument. This is the stimulating energy. And so somebody is busting at the seams. And they're also trying to figure out how to go public without being obnoxious. This is obviously something they're worried about, like something you're worried about. You're worried that you're gonna like say the wrong thing and say it to people who don't want to listen to you. And that's where you've got to use your discernment. You've got to use your intuition like the High Priestess does. And you know what? The High Priestess is also discerning. But unlike the Queen of Swords, well, it's more about like how her intuition helps her be discerning. Queen of Swords tends to be very logical. She thinks of like the advantages that there are to being discerning. And the disadvantages. Whereas the High Priestess only thinks about what she truly knows in her heart to be true, what she knows in her soul, she knows in her mind. She kind of like combines all of it together. Yeah, so that's the moon, the planet the moon, I believe. And, you know, the moon is feminine, and it's also part of the hidden, but you know what, the High Priestess kind of embraces the unknown. And I feel like whoever I'm talking to right now, you've got to embrace the unknown. You've got to surrender to whatever your higher power is. I feel who I'm talking to has a higher power. They're not an atheist. Most atheists do not believe in tarot or anything like that. I don't think. You can prove me wrong in the comments if you want. And I feel like you have a higher power, and you're really trying to figure out the songs you want to write. It's you're afraid you'll upset somebody. Well, yeah, I mean, anytime you take on a creative project and you're going to share with people, you might upset people. I know that my stuff, I know there are people upset by it. But I don't let it stop me, because like I always have things that I hide. For all the stuff that I let out quite a bit. I let out a lot of stuff. But there's still things that I keep to myself. There are things I don't even tell my closest friends or family. That's the thing with the High Priestess too. She always has secrets. And she has secrets for her own protection. And that's the thing. I think you have to protect yourself before you go out on stage, wherever your stage is. Whether your stage is at home talking to somebody that you love, whether your stage is out on a real stage where you're singing in front of people. You don't have to be the nasty energy that somebody projected onto you. Just because it works for them doesn't mean that it has to be that way for you. If that's not your natural energy, it's not going to work for you anyways. You need to be whatever your natural energy is. If your natural energy is like this gentle High Priestess energy, instead of this kind of like obnoxious Queen of Swords energy, then you do better at embracing the High Priestess energy, in my opinion. There's no reason to act obnoxious if that's not your nature. And perhaps maybe people thought you were like this loud, brash person, but you're really like quiet and shy. And you're realizing your power is really strong when you're quiet and shy. You tend to get more done during that time. Okay, now let's look at the depleting energy. And if we need to get back to that, we can get back to that. Now we have the Three of Swords here. We have the 10, let me hold it here, the 10 of Clubs, and 10 of Wands, actually. 10 is the number of Capricorn. It is actually Capricorn season right now as I record this. It's December 2021. Capricorn is the sign of like the person who works really hard, and they keep trying to get rewards, and so many times they don't, but like eventually they do. I feel like these burdens that you're carrying, the Ten of Wands is all about carrying burdens. Ten of Wands is actually, let's see, Sagittarius energy. Ten of Wands is Sagittarius. So I know this is confusing because I talk about both. But Sagittarius tends to be about speaking up for yourself. And I had channeled that earlier about needing to stand up for yourself. Needing to stand up for what you believe in. This card here is like, stop letting the burdens tear you apart. I felt almost like you're like wearing a suit or something, like some kind of sweatsuit. Then you have to take it off and just let yourself be nude. It's such a weird visual, but really, it's like you are absolutely burdened with, like, you're carrying weight. You're carrying physical weight, but like it's like not physical weight like you're heavy, but like physical weight like you're wearing tons of clothes. That could even be something. You want to change your clothes. You want your clothes to reflect how you really feel. Now, of course, if you're somebody like who's trans or non-binary, you may, or even gay, lesbian, I mean, you could be like wanting to change your style, just to show who you really are. It's interesting. That's the vision I got, though. It was like somebody was wearing like this sweatsuit, masculine sweatsuit, and they just wanted to be nude. They did have underwear on, though, so it's like they're listening, and they got some secrets. That's good. Okay, so then we have the Nine of Wands here, and that's clarifying the Queen of Swords. 9 to me is, actually 9 is Sagittarius, so 9 is Sagittarius, but like the 9 of Wands is also Sagittarius. You have like a double Sagittarius energy. It's like the wounded warrior. Here we have somebody who's a wounded warrior. I feel like the Three of Swords is like a wounded warrior in their own way. But the thing is, with the Three of Swords, it's like the person doesn't appreciate what they already have, like what they fought for. It's like they've let the fight get them. They've let the fight beat them down, even if they won. Usually the Three of Swords shows somebody who's lost in some way. Or they show like a broken heart, that kind of thing. And yeah, this guy, I mean, he's got a broken heart, but he's standing. He's still standing. That's something interesting there. Now, like this Nine of Wands energy with this, like, Queen of Swords energy, this person's methodically thinking out a plot. Like a plot to do damage. You know, some kind of damage control, I'm getting. Like, they're worried about a disaster, and they want to prepare for it. That is like the Nine of Wands energy. The Nine of Wands is like the person preparing for the disaster, and the Ten of Wands is like the person who, like, is in the middle of the disaster. And they're like picking up all the pieces. Now, a lot of readers talk about tens being the end of a cycle. Well, it's up to the person to create the end of the cycle. I'm not going to tell you that this is ending. I won't tell you that. You have to decide whether you're going to put a stop to, like, this energy that's like a tape running through your head. You know, it just won't shut off. And you're ready to shut it off. You're ready. You're ready to write your own songs. You're ready to write your own words, whatever they are. You're ready to write your own story, but to live your own story too, and not be living like somebody else's story. I feel somebody could be almost disassociating too. Like, they're in life, but like their mind is somewhere else. They're like with a group of people, and like they're not thinking about like what the people are thinking about. They're like thinking of some other thing. They've lost friends over it. They've lost friends over this disassociation, where, you know, they used to be part of it, part of the group, and then they weren't. It's like they kind of like were changing and realizing things about themselves that no longer was in line with what their friends were into. So like the depleting energy here, I mean, it's really like, stop preparing for disasters that may not happen. Again, that's easier said than done. And I have experience with that. I have experience with like preparing for all the bad things that could possibly happen, like in my life. There are all sorts of things I have to be aware of with like all my conditions that I have, all my physical and mental conditions that I have. But I'm not going to go through them here. Basically, if I take care of like the small things now, the kind of maintenance, do the daily maintenance, I don't have to worry about the disaster, because I will have done the maintenance to get through the disaster. And I think that's what you have to do, whoever's watching this. You have to do maintenance on yourself. If you feel a certain way about yourself, if you feel you are not like the people you used to be around, and you maybe want to just be on your own for a while, but like it's like you're desperate for approval too, because like that's what you crave, because that's what you're used to. One thing about the Queen of Swords is she alienates people, and this can be a male too. It can be non-binary, it can be any gender, but like the Queen of Swords energy, I'm saying, is like somebody who alienates people. They will like totally empty a room by just being so obnoxious. And getting somebody is just absolutely, they just keep like sticking their foot in their mouth. They like keep saying the wrong thing. And like they say it in a way that's so offensive that people don't want to listen. Even if what they have to say is meaningful. I'm getting like, you have like this message of hope, but it's like wrapped in like this package that's depressing. It reminds me of this band that I used to listen to. I can't mention their name. I don't want anybody to go through listening to their music and getting hooked on it and freaking out. And I'll just say this. I listened to a band for a long time that had like this like hopeful energy in all of their songs, but like their songs are like wrapped in this depressive ballad type energy. And when they tried to do upbeat stuff, it was like depressing. But like it had this message of hope. It was the most bizarre stuff ever. I can't believe I listened to it for like 10 years and went crazy over it. But I mean, literally though, I actually had a psychotic break over certain stuff with this music. To be fair, it wasn't really the band's fault, but their fans were pretty bad. But that's how much people craved hope. They were willing to listen to music that had like this depressive bent to it, because they were clinging to like hope at the same time. It's not a good energy to be in. And like I'm tearing up right now because I'm like, whoever is listening is like guilty about something in their past. They're guilty about how they treat people in their past. They're guilty about energy from the past. They can't seem to get beyond it. And I can tell you that I am certainly not beyond my past. However, I realize that I'm not my past. That everything in my past, like, there are actions that I took. There are actions where I made mistakes. There are actions where I did the right thing. Actions where it's like a mix of those two things. At the moon in Libra, somebody is mixed-minded right now. Libra is always looking at both sides of the coin. The coin is like a ticket out for somebody. Money is the ticket out. That's what I just heard. Well, they want to make music to make money. That's it. Music isn't for enlightenment. The music isn't for fun. The music isn't for entertainment. The music is for money. So having this message of hope in music that's meant to make money only makes the message not sound true, even if it is true. Wow. Let's meet this intention card again, and then we'll get to the magic spell, because I have a feeling whoever's watching this, if you've gotten this far, is in a lot of pain, and they need like a little nudge to help them get going on their new journey, whatever that is. So, for the warrior out there who's weighing both sides equally at this point, perhaps by the end of this reading, there's no need to be impulsive. Yes, you need to take initiative, but there's no need to be impulsive in your decisions. There's no need for urgency. Urgency thinking is probably the worst kind of thinking that you can get into. It is the biggest way to detract from anything you're trying to manifest in your life, especially money. If you're always thinking, I don't have enough money for this, I can't afford this, I can't do this, blah, 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 blah. You're always thinking that way. And true, you may not have the money right now. I know. I have that problem too sometimes. But you have money for something. There is something you can buy today, most likely. Perhaps buy that thing. Perhaps it's something you like buying. So today you have the money to buy something. And maybe you put some of that money away. I mean, maybe you don't have a savings account, but you just kind of like have this little bit of wiggle room. You just save enough money in your account to be able to spend it on something kind of nice. But like for the rest of the time, you spend on what you need, but like maybe it's the stuff you need, but like it's the stuff you like that you need. Like, here's an example. Let's say, you know, this cereal. I don't know why I'm mentioning this. Let's say there's like some cereal. And like, okay, there's like this brand name cereal, and then there's the cereal that's generic. Well, buy yourself the brand name cereal if you like it. If you like the generic better, buy the generic. Buy the one that you like. Don't buy it because one's cheaper than the other. Buy it because you like it. That's what you need to do. You need to treat yourself to small things every day. I feel like who I'm reading for right now is in a world of pain because they're so afraid that they'll make the wrong move. Yeah, it's possible you'll make the wrong move. Who doesn't? Everybody makes the wrong move. Yes, it's possible to make lots of wrong moves before you make a right one. I know from experience. You know, I'm very different than a lot of tarot readers. I've had experiences that most of them haven't had. And because of that, I don't promise things to my viewers. All I do is give guidance based on my years of experience with a lot of things that lots of people haven't been through. I can't help you avoid making mistakes. It's up to you to decide how to move on from something, how to stop thinking that's holding you back. But yeah, I mean, if you treat yourself every day to something that you like let's say you buy the one thing, you buy the cereal. That cereal could last you a whole week or more, right? I mean, it could be anything like that. Just do that for yourself. I'm getting that whoever I'm reading for, they can't even make a decision about buying cereal right now. They're so distraught. There's like some tape in their head. It's like somebody was like putting thoughts in their head. They're like, somebody put thoughts in my head, and I can't get them out of my head now. Maybe they've listened to music that I used to listen to. I think I mentioned them like once on I mentioned them a few times on my Twitter or on my other blog. I think I mentioned them once or something. I don't remember. My sketchwriter just is still up. It's an archive now, but I don't think I may have mentioned them. I don't think I mentioned their name, but I mentioned about them. But maybe somebody stumbled onto their music and now they're like, these thoughts are in my head. Yeah, I know what that's like. But, you know, perhaps it's not that. Perhaps I'm being kind of silly here. But, you know, maybe there was somebody in their life that they held dear that absolutely wrecked their self-esteem. You know, they like show them something they worked on or a project, or they share a song with them and a person just had nothing but critiques about it. They couldn't even give them like positive, constructive criticism. It's like everything was criticism. Destructive. You know, destruction doesn't have to happen for rebirth to happen. You can have a deconstruction that leads to a rebirth. I mean, if there's anything that, like, people are so afraid of this destruction that's gonna sweep the country. Really, we can deconstruct things. There's ways to deconstruct things so that the rebirth doesn't have to be so painful. Yes, there are some birthing things that are painful, but it doesn't always have to be so painful. It doesn't. I know that for a fact. I'll explain more a little bit. I'll finish with this one thing and then I'll get to the spell. I've had 2 psychotic breaks. One was not as bad as the other. And each one kind of like was a rebirth. Do you know, my second one was kind of deconstructive. The other one was completely destructive. I think that's something people need to take in mind when they feel like they need to dismantle something. They need to like tear themselves apart to get to the heart of something that's inside of them. There's ways to do it. I mean, you can journal, you can do art, you can write songs, you can sing songs to yourself. You can record it and then like watch it back and see if you like it. I do that with my readings, and some of my readings I don't share. And others I do. I have my own specific reasons why I don't share them. Usually it's just because I feel like the information isn't ready to come out yet. It's not the right time to release it. Or I need to release it in a different place. You know, it might not be appropriate for YouTube. No, it's not like 18 plus. Don't get your minds out of the gutter now. Okay, now I'm going to do the spell. So what I do is I have east, south, west, north, and spirit, ether. So we'll start putting these cards up on here. So that was east, south, west, north. Oops. And then ether. And this is the Knight of Wands. Well, that's like taking initiative, really. It's about taking initiative, not being impulsive. So here, focus on this gem here, this gemstone, and think of your intention to figure out how to stop yourself from worrying. What's like one coping skill that you can do? You know, think of anything from journaling to singing to bathing even, just taking a shower. How can you stop worrying? Okay, I'm going to put this here. May you be able to find the glory in the thing that doesn't cause you to worry. Blessed be. Thanks for listening. Until we meet again, take care. Bye.